Brandon Simmons, he is he's been doing real estate, well actually, I screwed that up. So,
That's okay.
former COO of Sean Terry's company,
Yeah.
right? Started in 2010.
Right.
Right now he does his own coaching and mentoring, started a real estate REI mastermind nicknamed The Go-Giver, and has helped thousands of people in their real estate journey.
Thanks, George. And for George, those of you who don't know George resides in Chandler, Arizona. Him and his partner Albert have been doing deals all over the country, nationwide. He's a true deal junkie, and you should check him out on Instagram, George Aplicano, and also Deal Junkie. But also, he's a wholesaler, a flipper, a landlord, a hard money lender. That's one of his secret weapons a lot of people don't know about, is he's able to get a lot of private money and hard money for a lot of his cash buyers to help them do deals. He's done hundreds of wholesale deals, thousands of wholesale deals probably. I know you own a lot of real estate. You're a landlord in Wisconsin and here, and he's doing deals everywhere, and done over $4 million worth of deals. I think, right?
$4 million.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
So welcome to the B&G podcast.
Right?
So we really don't have an official name, title, and stuff. We're just rolling, right? We're just going with it.
Record and see what happens, right? Exactly.
Yeah. And this is an interesting time. So we're going to be pretty casual here and pretty relaxed, but we're in a different time of the market, because now we're in June 2022.
2022, yeah.
Things have changed over the last couple of years since COVID and everything like
Right.
that. I know me personally, I remember I sold my last rental property back in November before COVID hit. And I was like, yes! I totally timed that perfectly. I can't believe it. And then the market went, whew,
right. And the funny thing is that when at my most successful time period was actually in 2020. Me and my partner, we doubled down on all of our advertising and marketing, and we instantly got double our business right back.
That's amazing. And you've been wholesaling for over 5 years now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how are some of the ways that you're finding deals right now in this market?
So funny thing is that my last 3 deals have actually come from real estate agents.
Wow.
They've come from real estate agents. We still do direct to seller. But yeah, real estate agents have been calling me, and they're like, hey, you know what? This last buyer couldn't make it. Here's a distressed property. Seller needs his money, and we gotta close. Okay.
So real estate agents.
Real estate agents,
the referrals.
Yeah. Referrals, yeah.
They're overlooked a lot.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
Definitely. So also you've been doing a lot of deals up in Wisconsin. How did you guys get up in Wisconsin?
So we had a third partner at one point in time. And he looked up some details that we never knew. He came from Wisconsin originally.
Nice.
And so he looked up some numbers on regards to what the rentals were versus what the actual cost of the house is.
Oh,
and we were like, okay, so the rentals were comparable to what Arizona is, and so per square footage.
Right.
And the houses were way cheaper. Right, exactly. So you could rent a house for $1,200, but $1,200 a month, and you could buy it at $50,000 at the time.
Oh, so that's
right.
Like, I've heard of the 1% rule.
Right.
That's like the 2.5%.
Yeah, 2.5% rule. Right. Yeah, exactly. So we were buying them with more than 2.5% in gain on it, and that was with net, right?
Wow.
So yeah, and so we just went over there, and anything that from our wholesale and other hard money, any additional assets that we had, we just started pouring it over there, and so we created a nice little rental portfolio.
That's great. And are you hanging on to any of those, or have you liquidated some of those?
We got rid of some of those, the majority of those. Another thing that people don't tell you, right? Those are also 100-year-old homes, right?
Yeah.
So because of that, we started liquidating some of those just so that we can reallocate our portfolio into newer properties, right? So we just we got rid of those. We bought a 7-plex out in Yuma.
Nice.
And it's a newer property. It's built in the 1980s, I believe. It was 84 or something like that. And so and the cash flows a little bit more than what the.
Wow, that's great. Well, what a lot of people don't know about George is, I mean, he's been here in the Phoenix market. I've known you for a while now,
yeah.
A long time, and you've seen a lot of the different changes. And everyone looks like a superhero in a market that's going up, right?
Yeah.
So here we are, June 2022. Interest rates just hit over 6% now for a home mortgage. The Fed is talking about raising interest rates again, and multiple times this year. Inflation's up. Gas is over $5 a gallon nationwide, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have family in California. I think it's over $7 a gallon.
Yeah,
now.
it's gonna hit 10 is what a lot of everything on YouTube says $10.
Yeah, and I know it's really bad. I have a teenage son. I know it's really bad when he calls me up after putting gas in the gas tank and is like complaining about the cost of gas.
Yeah. Right?
So,
Yeah.
that's the reality is, things are getting more expensive for people. Housing's expensive for a lot of people. The average sale price for a house in San Diego, I was just talking about, because we used to live in San Diego, the average house for a regular house, I'm talking about like a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,100 square feet, 1,200 square feet, is over $1 million.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine trying to get started with a family and stuff out of college right now?
Right, exactly. Yeah, $50,000, $60,000 or $100,000 in debt just from your college debt.
Student loans,
and then going, hey, I need to buy a house.
It doesn't compute. It doesn't. Even if you have a 2-income household.
Right.
But things are changing now.
Things are changing. I'm truly an optimist.
Me
right?
too.
And so we're blessed to be in this business. Right, so if inflation, because of inflation, all of a sudden gas prices started to go up. I was like, okay, I got to go buy another house. I got to go buy another rental income. I got to create another source of income in order for me to offset that.
Right.
And
I like the way you think.
Exactly, and continue to sustain my lifestyle.
Right.
So yeah.
So with the market changing, as most of us do wholesale, right? We do a lot of wholesale. Yeah. I know you do a lot of fix and flip, and you do rentals and stuff too. With the market changing, how are you guys adjusting? What are you guys doing differently, or what's your game plan now?
Right, we're actually we're hiring, right? Because what ends up happening is that in inflation, in times like this, people are going to struggle to get money, right? And so what they're going to start doing is they're going to start liquidating assets, right? This is and I've my parents used to fix and flip shoes, right? High-end luxury, high-end name brand shoes, right? So, and so they would buy them cheap, they would fix them up, and then they would resell them. What they found out is that when moments of change, like all of a sudden the style is out, or there was some sort of decrease in the market or whatever, then all of a sudden people just started liquidating their stuff. And when they start liquidating their stuff, well, you could just buy it cheaper. So yeah, exactly. So a house is
there's more supply.
Right, exactly. So what ends up happening is that people are going to start looking at their bills and start looking at what their monthly income is and all of this, and then reassessing their total their total portfolio.
Right.
And they're going to go, well, if we need additional cash, we're going to have to liquidate some stuff. They're going to get rid of their cars, their jewelry. They're going to start. And it may sound doom and gloom, but if we get to that level, that's usually what's the first thing that you start seeing.
I think it's important to be aware. I think it's important. Like, I don't want to be like the sky is falling, and maybe some people think that's how I'm phrasing. I'm not, because I believe we can make money in a down market, in an up market, in a flat market, as long as we know what's going on. Just don't put our head in the sand, right?
Right.
Where the people get screwed over, especially the last recession, is people just ignored the signs, or if they didn't understand the signs, maybe as part of it too. So now we are seeing a couple different signs. We're seeing inflation. We're seeing inventory going up, right? In Maricopa County, right, in the Phoenix market. So we were, I think, under 4,000 units, active units at the beginning of the year. We're at what now?
13.5, 13.4, somewhere around.
Wow, so it's just growing.
It's growing, yeah.
It's almost tripled or more.
Yeah.
So inventory's going, and by the way, that's not even a normalized market. A normalized market price is like 35,000.
35,000, right, exactly.
So we're still got a ways to go.
Yeah.
But, and actually 6% interest rates aren't crazy. It's just from a year ago when interest rates were under 3%, it's literally doubled.
Right.
So it seems like, oh my gosh.
Sorry to interrupt. So I was a loan officer back in 94, 95.
I worked at Wells Fargo too. I did last time,
yeah. So back in 94, 95, my first loan that I ever originated was 13.5% on an FHA loan.
13.5%. And what year was that?
1994, 1995, somewhere
Wow,
around.
that wasn't that long ago.
No. Yeah.
So, we're not in the double digits.
No, we're not in the double digits. But my point being is that was what the rates were. So right now, even though we're at 6.5%, 6.5%,
Yeah.
I'm still looking at it as a blessing and trying to collect buy as many properties as I can.
What about affordability of the home? How much was the house? Do you remember about?
Oh yeah, the house was maybe $100,000, $100,000, and this is in California, right? So it was
Yes.
like LA area, so 140, 150,000. So a
Yeah,
lot
you
of
probably
different
can't
affordability.
touch.
Yeah.
It's so much more expensive now. So with the market changing, with some of the stuff going on, tell me some of the ideas you have, you and your partner have been talking about. Are you guys adjusting your offers yet? Are you seeing any pricing going down on retail products that you're putting out there?
Yeah, so in retail in general, we've started to see like a 5%. People are starting to just decrease their prices because we were in a crazy market, right? There was such a demand that people were just overbidding like crazy because the rates were lower, right? And since the rates were lower, people could qualify higher, and so as that, they were like, okay, well,
they're buying on payment,
right,
not just on the price.
Exactly. And so yeah, so there's been a little bit of a drop, but as far as for our wholesale, company, we're buying cheaper, right? We are just now at this point in time buy at a different price level because we anticipate a drop, right?
Here in Phoenix, it was amazing. If you had anything under 80%, you could sell all day long.
All day long, right?
We have so many institutional buyers out here, hedge funds, a lot of the Wall Street money, open door offer pad, tons of other hedge funds out here too that were buying, and so we had anything under 80%, it was sold like that, right? And
Yeah.
we were selling stuff at 85 up to 90%, sometimes even close to retail, like.
Yeah, and so and we were privileged, right? We had a crazy market, and we would be able to sell things within a day to 2 days, right?
Quick.
Exactly. Now a normal market, right, is anywhere between 60, 90 days. That's a normal market, right? And we're still at 13,000 inside of our inventory. We're not even close to a normal market yet here in Arizona.
Right.
So yeah.
And we follow. So in Arizona, those people that follow a lot of deals and a lot of the, I guess, what would you say, economists out here. We follow the Crawford Report a lot. They seem to be spot on a lot of stuff. And even there, we're not in a normal market. We're still got a high demand still. But I think it's important to realize we're in a shift, we're in a change. And to pay attention to the change, to pay attention to what's going on now and how to adjust to that. Because I'm doing deals nationwide, you're doing deals nationwide. So we have to adjust our offers, and we have to make sure that any deals that we're joint venturing on with other wholesalers, that we're helping them find cash buyers for, that it meets the criteria of our buyers, because that's our customers, our cash buyers.
Right.
I teach a lot. I do a lot of coaching too. I help a lot of people build humongous buyers lists, like overnight, basically. But there's going to be a time that we're going to focus on a particular buyer. So in most of my buyers lists, I focus on fix and flip cash buyers, landlord cash buyers, hedge funds, realtors. I also want to know the wholesalers in the area.
Right.
But the reason why I focus on realtors is because they have retail buyers too.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to need to really focus and utilize the MLS, utilize the retail buyer a lot more coming forward. What do you think?
Absolutely, I agree. But now, what is the execution behind that, right? Is it, sellers right now, they know that they can probably get top dollar on their property, right? If they can get top dollar on their property, so how do you go in and renegotiate that? So, there is,
I think there's a lag with the retail market. Sometimes, even talking to sellers right now, they still think that since our neighbor got 30,000 over asking, waived appraisal, they had 40 offers, they're wondering why their house isn't selling like that. One of my friends from church, he just sold his house and he had one offer. It was a cash offer, that was it.
And that was it.
And he took it, and he was glad. He was happy. He got full retail, but it wasn't like it was 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Right. The market has already started to change a little bit. So, I mean, how do you utilize the retail strategies? What do you do right now?
So we do a process innovation,
Yeah.
Novation, right? Haven't relabeled it yet, so a retail buyers program, or I don't know, but
Yeah, we know Corey Geary's a good friend of ours. He
Yeah.
has a lot of novations.
Calls it
Sean
consumer,
Terry, Corey Boatwright. A lot of people are using these strategies now. Cody Sperber.
Yeah.
They're using a lot of the retail. Whether you're a licensed realtor, you just go list the property, right?
Yeah.
If you're not licensed in those states, then you use a novation
Right.
or a substitution of contract.
Substitution, right? But yeah, but we're now throwing it out there. Most sellers, they know my property's worth more. Okay, so then well, what are the different ways that we can do that? Well, that's the reason why creative financing is now such a hot topic, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
let us
that's
carry,
mine.
right?
I love
Exactly.
that,
So how can we carry the note? How can we do maybe a long-term lease? How can we do a sandwich lease, right? Those types of strategies. How can we actually even recreate a note? You know what I mean? Those types of strategies have now come to play, and they're more open to it, right? Because
Right.
nobody has given them the right offer. Because in this market, yeah, we're
Wholesalers are
right.
giving them, and the offer's gonna be lower. Coming up over the next few months, I think over the next 6 months, you'll probably see the market still decline on pricing in some markets. Some markets we still have huge demand.
Right.
But I think you're gonna see prices start to drop a little bit. And so that means as a wholesaler, our offers need to change a little bit. But you're talking about other strategies. Now the novation, let's dive into this for a second,
Sure.
because I wanna ask about this. Because I think this is super important. People do not know this strategy. A majority of wholesalers maybe have heard about it, but never done one.
Yeah, or
So
they don't
you
understand.
guys
the concept.
you guys are doing one right now, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So tell us the steps of a novation in a simple form or an easy, like for a 4-year-old. Explain it to me like I'm a 4-year-old.
Okay. Good luck. All right. So, as an example, as a wholesaler, you're going to buy a property anywhere between the 70 to 80% mark, right?
Right.
So if a seller comes in and they said, nope, I want 85, 90% of value, right? If that's where their price is, well, okay, we go ahead and agree to that price. Now, but there are some different documents that go in place in order for that. They have
Is this a very clean house? Like doesn't need a lot of repairs?
doesn't need a lot of repairs, right? Exactly.
Okay.
So it's not as distressed. It's not distressed
Gotcha.
as in regards to that 70, 80.
So it's a nicer home typically.
Absolutely, nicer home. Typically, the repairs are minor, right? So even at that 85, 90% mark, well, what we say is we go ahead and agree to a price. Based off of that agreement onto a price, well then we go ahead and get a contract. They give us the ability to go ahead and list the property on the MLS.
Right.
And with that authorization, we handle the rest of the transaction. So, like if a retail buyer comes in, they say, "Hey, we'll pay out cash at this price." We're in this type of a market. You could turn around and sell it at 110% of value or 105% of value.
Okay.
In
What
our
about
space.
people that need financing? A lot of retail buyers out there, but they need like a loan from the bank.
Correct.
How do you overcome that obstacle with the seller, or because you usually have like 30-day contracts, or
It's 90 days.
90
Yeah,
90 days.
Yeah, so we automatically, right from the very beginning, we tell them it's going to be 90 days. You want that price? Like, okay, if you want your money in 15 days, no problem. I'll buy it at 70%. But
Ooh, this is important. Pay attention to this. This
yeah,
is good.
so if you want your money quicker, right? Then no problem. We'll go ahead and give you your money, but you're going to only get 70% of that. 70% of whatever
The retail value.
of retail value.
Because even if they sold the house retail, they're not getting 100%.
Mm-mm.
If there's realtors involved, there's 6% in commissions. There's 2 to 4% in closing costs and concessions. So it's like
Right.
10% off the top anyway.
Right. Exactly.
So they're walking away. Best case scenario, 90% at 3 months, 2 to 3 months
Right.
lease, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So from there, we go ahead and say, all right, well, if you want 85 to 90% of your value, not a problem. We'll go ahead and lock it in, but it's going to be 90 days before you get your money.
Okay.
Right? Within those first 30 days, we have to have the property sold. We can extend it beyond that if for whatever reason. And this doesn't work in all markets, right? It doesn't work in all markets. It's in high demand markets. Now, if you're going to go to another market that doesn't have as high demand, you're going to have to make a longer contract and you're going to have to lower your percentage prices.
How important for you now? I believe in transparency a lot. Are you guys pretty transparent with the sellers? Like, hey, this is going to take longer. This is what we're doing. We're using the MLS to get buyers and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
and so it's funny when when I was first taught in wholesaling, there was this thing of like, to try to get the deal, you don't disclose everything. That's how I was taught, and I was like, that it's
almost
something
feels icky.
right? Exactly. And so then there's this stigma that wholesaling is wrong, right? But the reality of it is that I've had more success with telling a seller, hey, I'm not going to buy the house, but I have somebody that will, right? I can go ahead and get you that price that you want. Is it okay for me to make some money? And they're like, yeah, fine. I don't care if you make more than whatever. I want this. So
Right.
in disclosing all of this, and the funny thing, it just comes back to like mindset, right? If you have an abundance mindset,
Right.
it changes. And so you're working with people, and if you are upfront about how you're doing it, yeah, they're more than willing to work with you. They have to have the confidence in you that you're going to get it done.
Right.
So and so if you're honest and truthful right from the very beginning, hey, I'm not going to buy it, or I'm going to post it on the MLS, or I'm doing A, B, C, D, they're more likely to go ahead and sign on the dotted line because they now have confidence in you that you're doing the best that you can for them, and you're being truthful about it.
I was just talking to one of Sean Terry's acquisitions managers. She's amazing. She was started out as leads manager. She's one of the top acquisitions people in his company right now, and she loves the whole retail buyer program, the Novation stuff. She's very transparent. She's very, hey, our price is this, right? We're not your buyer if you want more than that, but we'll help you find the buyer. And this is what we do. It's almost like a concierge, white glove type of service, right? A lot of times they just don't want to be stressed out. They just don't want to deal with listing. They don't want to deal with realtors. They don't want to be pitched 100 times. Yeah. If you can kind of save them that headaches, and then you find the buyer for them, and they get the price, they're fine.
Right. And the majority of our sellers that we get are vacant, are absentee owners. Okay. Right. So that helps.
Oh, nice. So vacant homes.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, if you're pitching to somebody that's out in like Wyoming or whatever, and their property's out in Yuma, well, okay, then they don't want to deal with the real estate agents. They don't want to deal with the offers. They don't want to deal with any of that stuff. It's just give me my price, and let's not worry about anything else. I just want my price, and when do I get my check?
So tell me the simple steps. So you go and talk to the seller, and this is we're understanding the novation, because this is, I really think, is going to be the way. If you're a wholesaler and you're not using this type of strategy, you're not using any creative strategies coming up, guess what? You're probably not going to be in business very long.
Correct.
The market is changing, and if you don't adjust and you don't understand how to use creative financing, you don't understand how to use novations, then you're probably going to have a lot fewer deals. Right?
Absolutely.
So on the steps of the novation, basically you talk to the seller, they want a retail price, and then what?
So you have to measure their pain levels, right?
Okay.
You have to see how distressed the property is.
So you're still going through all the same emotions,
right?
Trying to find motivation, the situation, the pain.
Yep.
Why they're selling.
Right, exactly. And then from there, well, now if the property's in good shape and it's still passable for maybe a conventional loan, right? Conventional financing, then from there now you're looking at an option as novation. You have to find out the motivation for the seller, right? And once you have that motivation, and once you understand, okay, well, why is it that they want that 85-90% of value? That's where you can now capitalize on it. And then at the moment in time, it's just you sign a regular purchase contract.
You sign a regular purchase contract.
Purchase and sale agreement.
Right.
So you have to sign a regular purchase and sale agreement, even with the new laws here in Arizona, right? So you sign the new purchase and sale agreement.
In Arizona, we just disclosed that we're wholesaling, or we could assign it.
Yeah.
And that's just all part of your disclosures.
Right. Then from there, they sign a power of attorney only to list the property.
Okay.
Right? And from there, we have the ability to list the property and do everything for them. At the end of the transaction, the seller still signs all of their documents to go ahead and close.
So they still sign seller disclosures?
Correct.
They still sign the closing documents?
Yep, and the settlement statement as well.
The settlement statement.
So they see exactly what we're making.
You sign the purchase and sale agreement, and you also have them sign, what was the other agreement?
Power of attorney?
Power of attorney, or some people use an attorney in fact.
Right, attorney in fact.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, that's what it was. It was an attorney in fact. And then
one you don't have to notarize, right?
Right. So Yeah, and so then once those documents are now in place, well, the next steps in the action are we go ahead and take photos of the property, make sure that all the details are in good. If we are able to clean up the property a little bit better to get a higher value, we'll go ahead and do that. We'll have somebody.
You don't
go out
mind
and clean
investing a little bit of your own money
it. Correct. Yeah.
into that?
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're protected how?
So with these documents that they sign, and once these documents are completed, we would then go ahead and fill out a notice of interest and then record that in the county.
So you record a notice of interest, which is similar to a memorandum or similar to a lien or something on the property.
Correct.
Showing some sort of interest in that
Interest in the property,
Yeah.
correct. So with the purchase
So
agreement.
cloud's title basically, they
Yeah.
just can't go around you and sell it without.
Yeah, they
right?
can't go around you or anything like that. But yeah, with the purchase agreement and that notice of interest, that basically locks that property in for us. And so then, now at this point, we're under contract. They can't go around.
As a wholesaler, I'm used to doing purchase contracts. I'm used to doing filing a memorandum a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that different.
No, it's not.
There's not that many more
Steps.
moving parts at all.
Mhm.
So now you find like a flat fee listing service, or do you find like a local realtor? How do you
So
like to do it?
we've tried flat fee listing services. And the issue with that is that there's a lot more work that you have to do yourself, right? What ends up and the phone calls are just the phone calls in themselves. It takes a lot of time, right? So you would have to have one individual person just assigned to that, right? Instead, what we end up doing is we pay a little bit more for a listing agent. Most listing agents will pay 1%. They'll charge 1% to 0.5% just to put it on the listing, and then just to take some phone calls.
Okay.
Right? It may not be full service, but at the same time, they're taking the phone calls and they screen out who are the serious buyers and who are not.
Right.
And that helps out a ton. And especially if you're doing this virtual, right? So if you're doing it like in some other state, you would rather have an actual agent, and most of them don't understand the idea of novation, so you have to explain it to them. Hey,
I'm paying your commission.
right, I'm paying your commission, I have interest in this property, here's the documents for it,
Nice.
so that you understand that I'm the person that's assisting on the listing for that transaction. From there, the agent.
I'm your boss, basically.
Right, exactly. And so then that helps, right?
Yeah.
Then most of the, depending on who the agent is, right? We look up to see who the top agents are in whatever county it is that they're working in, and we'll talk to them. We usually get the assistant, and then usually the assistant
nice.
the assistant's like, hey, they usually get it, right? Well, it's free money. It's free money if you just put it on the MLS.
You use one of the top agents in the area, right?
Mhm, correct.
Okay. So you don't. I was just wondering. Sometimes maybe trying to go through like a RIA group, like a real estate investor association, but shoot, Realtor.com.
Yeah, top
find out
agents.
who the top agents
Yeah,
are right
top
there.
agents in Milwaukee County or Cook County or whatever.
It's not
And
that complicated.
It's not that complicated. Yeah, and you call the first 5, and we actually have our virtual assistant call just to see if those numbers are actually accurate and if they can talk to somebody.
Now, what's interesting is, I know there's certain states that have certain restrictions and stuff like that. One of my clients actually had a deal that was in Illinois, which is
Yeah.
for a lot of people they stay away from
Right.
wholesaling and stuff like that. But he actually did a novation in Illinois. The agent was like, "Hey, I got an idea because this is like a perfect rental type property. It wasn't like a high end like retail deal. It was more of a rental, so it was a good area to find some landlords and stuff." So he actually created like an auction style. He created like a showing and an auction and got the price up, which and he was rewarded with a higher commission too.
Absolutely.
So that you can be creative on all this stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're working on a deal right now in Maryland. I believe it's in Maryland.
Nice.
Same scenario, right? The property's like 9. So properties are going for 1.2 million and
Ooh.
1.2 million, and the guy wants 890,000. Right? So it is a high-end market. There is demand there. There is, like, we've researched it, right? And we used the investor lift, right, to see what kind of buyers are in that area, right? And it's a hot market. It's similar to Arizona in that little tiny space. And so then from there, we're working on innovation right now. We'll probably get it under 890 or whatever. We'll go ahead and sell it maybe 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, maybe somewhere around there, because it's very near Washington, right? So Washington, Maryland,
the DMV
right?
area.
That one, that area.
So what type of spread do you think after the dust settles? What do you think you can get out of that one?
Well, I mean, we're probably at about 100 net. Probably
Wow,
100.
that's better than a wholesale
Yeah,
fee.
yeah.
Most wholesale fees average are like 20 grand right now, 15, 20 grand. You know,
Yeah.
so.
And on our average novations, they're about 30 to 40. That's what we're making.
That's
on our
great. That's
novations.
double wholesale fee too.
Yeah.
So.
Mhm.
So I love that. I'm glad that you're talking about that because a lot of people don't know this strategy. People don't understand it. If you want to find out more about this, make sure to hit up George, right?
Actually,
Go.
you too. Well, yeah.
If I can help anyway, but I mean, he's on Instagram. But let me ask you this: with the market changing too, and this is maybe getting a topic that I love, right? Is creative real estate, creative
Yes.
financing. As a wholesaler, and you have taken to creative real estate very well. You're understanding a lot about it. You understand the note side, the back end. Like if you haven't seen the movie The Banker, it's on Disney Plus with Samuel Jackson. Amazing. You got to see the
amazing movie. Yeah.
It's about being on the other side of the desk, owning the bank,
Yeah.
right? So there's ways you can wholesale deals. You can assign any creative deal. You can assign any seller carryback, seller financing deal. You can assign any wrap, sub 2 deal. You can assign any lease option deal. You can assign all that just like you do a wholesale deal.
Yeah.
But also on the back end, you can take part in the notes
Yeah.
and that stuff. And we have a couple of our friends, Eric Sage and Nick Legamero,
Right.
and they're doing a lot of the note side of investing. And those of you who don't know Eric Sage, if you know Pace Morby, Eric Sage was his sage.
Right. It was the sage.
Was like his mentor
His
in a lot of
mentor,
ways.
yeah.
And Eric's been around the block for a long time. And Eric and Nick, it's as you're in this business, everyone they're in my mastermind. They're in the REI mastermind, the Go Giver. But what's amazing, a lot of these guys know each other, and they share strategies. And how much of a role do you think creative financing is going to be in the next coming year or two?
Absolutely. It's important. It's important. So, for me and in my experience, I have I've been blessed that I was in the mortgage industry for 20
so you
years.
understand mortgages.
Yeah, exactly. And so at the time when I was in the mortgage industry, I hated every single day of it. but now it's different because I understand the amortization part of it. Like I get it. Like right. So if
This is scary. So now you're using big words that not everyone's going to understand.
Yeah.
So an amortization schedule or amortization of a mortgage is a fancy way of saying you're paying all the interest at the beginning,
right.
right?
Absolutely. So if you're paying all the interest at the beginning, right? So if we get a seller that has had the property for 15 years, right?
A lot of that interest is already paid.
It's already
You're paying
paid.
a lot of principal.
Right,
now.
exactly. So at this point in time, you're paying them a lot of principal. And imagine if you got, so to me, the interest rates that I first sold were at 13.5. So if this person has an interest rate of 5%, 6%, I'm all over it. Like that to me makes a ton of sense. Most of the print interest is already paid. Now it's the majority is principal, and from there I'm paying a lower interest rate than what I've seen.
So let me throw a scenario at you. So in Phoenix, Arizona, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was doing he's crunching some numbers, and we love tacos, so we're eating some tacos, and he's saying, if prices dropped in Phoenix, Arizona, 50%, Brandon, 50%, that would go back to the prices just 2 years ago. So just 2 years ago, 50%. And what were interest rates? Like 4%?
4%.
Like around there, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if you get a property that is amortized, say they have about 5 or 7 years paid off on the mortgage already. And we're gathering these over the next couple of years, right? And so the value back then was 50% of what they are now. So if we can buy it lower, again, worth not, if we can take over the loan,
Right.
how much equity do we have in that? How much cash flow can that make on a rental property?
Right.
And the amortization side of it, now you, instead of paying 30 years, you have, say, 20 years or 22 years left on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and here's the key to that, right? Rents are not going down.
Right.
So rents are going
Rents
down. So
are
maybe,
gotten
so
really expensive.
yeah, exactly. So maybe even, okay, so great, property values go down, but is rent landlords are not going to be adjusting their rents anytime soon. We still have strong demand, at least here in Arizona, right? So.
And my rule of thumb, when it comes to creative stuff, I just think like if I needed to bail, if I needed to get out of something right away, my basic underwriting, this is what I teach a lot of my clients and stuff, is try to buy with at least 10% equity.
Yeah.
Because that way, if you had to use a realtor and list it and sell it, you're breaking even. You're fine. Mm-hmm. So if you can get it with some equity, and you can cash flow, say $400 a month, at a minimum of $300. You want like 3 or 4 months of positive cash flow to cover at least 1 month's payment if there's a vacancy, right? So if you can cover that, you're pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So do you think there's gonna be an opportunity for some of these deals coming up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially if we have a drop in the interest rates, if they locked in their interest rate at 4.5, 3.5, 3.75.
Just take it over.
Just take over the payments. Yeah.
Don't buy at a higher price and a higher interest rate, right?
Right. Exactly.
So if we can do that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and so and there's creative things that you can do, right? So like, okay, well, all right, well, even if they do decrease in value, you can pay a little bit more because now the financing is established, right? So instead of buying getting it under hard money, right? And hard money, if you don't know, it's expensive money so that you can use
12 to 18%.
12 to 18%, right? Exactly. It's just so that you can acquire the property and then from there go and either fix it, flip it, or if not, to get traditional financing afterwards.
So there's going to be seller financing, owner financing, seller carrybacks. That's all basically where they own a property free and clear. They're becoming the bank. A wrap is where you wrap that existing mortgage, buying it subject to the existing mortgage, right? So buying it sub 2. That's a strategy. Lease options is a strategy. But also, here's the thing that's really interesting to me, because who likes to be a landlord? I'm not a big landlord. I don't like to manage other people. I don't like to. I've had rentals and it's great. It's fine.
That's why I have a partner. My partner takes care of it.
Oh, I mean, and I mean, I think the key is just really good management, qualifying the tenants really well.
Yeah.
Is the big, like, I lucked out to have good tenants most of the time. The one time I didn't, we made that mistake. We didn't do it again. So luckily we've never had to do an eviction. But those aren't fun. I've had to do it in my wholesaling world, but not my own personal rental properties. But when it comes to this, there's an idea of notes and creating notes. So let me just run a scenario by you, and this is something, a real scenario I did not too long ago. So I wanted a $40,000 assignment fee, right?
Okay.
So they said no. My buyer's like, no, I don't want to pay that much, right?
Okay.
Well, okay, what are you willing to pay? 20. Okay, so let's do a $20,000 assignment fee, and I'll carry back 20,000.
Right.
In 6 months, you can pay me the other 20.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, so they're gonna flip it. They're fine.
Right. Exactly.
So now, instead of lowering my price, I just created a note for that extra 20K.
Yeah. And so then, how did you protect your note?
It's secured against the property.
Secured against the property. You recorded the note.
It's recorded. Yeah. Well, you did. You do a mortgage. You do a note deed of trust. Is what we do in Arizona. So, but you can do that. You can, if you're buying on subject to, and you don't want to be a landlord, you can sell
it
on a wrap, or you can sell on a lease option. That movie, The Banker, is amazing, because then basically, if you think about a bank, they just make the arbitrage, the difference. Someone deposits money, you're paying 1% for that savings account. Then you go out and turn around and lend it at, say, 3 to 5%.
Right.
So they're making the arbitrage on the interest rate. So same thing on these properties, you can sell them, and that's what Nick and Eric does, right? Where they basically create the notes.
They create the notes, and then they sell them on a secondary market for a certain value,
or hold on to the notes,
or hold on to it, depending on how the buyer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, anything can be. The crazy thing about real estate is that anything can be done. It's just an agreement between two people, and as long as it's written on a contract, it can be done.
You can get as creative as you want to. And the thing that I've learned is, I'm not the smartest person in most of the rooms I walk in. I'll be very honest. My wife will tell you that for sure. But I love real estate. I'll talk real estate. She knows if I talk in real estate too much. We have little code words that I know when to shut up, and I stop because I love the topic a lot. But one of the things I learned is be around people smarter than myself. Learn what they're doing, see other strategies that are going on, adopt those strategies. I really truly believe if you're a wholesaler and you're a one-trick pony and you're not learning creative real estate, or you're not willing to learn creative real estate, you're gonna miss out on deals.
Yeah.
You may stay in business and you still make money, you still may make some money, but I'm telling you, the minute you add creative real estate to your tool belt, you can get probably almost double the amount of deals.
Yeah, it changes everything. Like, and you've heard this story before, right? But me as a loan officer, when I was a loan officer, I used to underwrite all of these lease options, right? All these purchase contracts that we're purchasing on an option, and I would look and I was like, who's the person that's making all the money? And it's always the wholesaler, it's always the end seller, because they created all of these different creative finance kind of options. And that's what got me interested into this business, because I saw them and I was like, wait a second, this guy made 40 grand on a $60,000 property? How did that work? So
I think what's hard for a lot of people, it's just confusing because different states use different terminology.
Yeah.
Well, you'll hear agreement for sale, you'll hear wrap, you'll hear sub 2, you'll hear contract for deed, land contract, installment land contract. And a lot of it is a lot of the same things are just used in different ways, or maybe there's a little bit of a twist on it, maybe they're creating a second loan on a wrap.
yeah.
So don't get too confused about that, but just understand you need to be learning this stuff. And also, I think it's so important, like I said, I don't like to be the smartest person in the room. I like to learn from others. I love masterminds. I love masterminding with people.
Same here. I mean, I got introduced to all the heavy hitters here in Arizona just by going to the masterminds. And these guys, they're way smarter than I am, and their execution's better as well. Like, but I'm learning every single day and taking bits and pieces and putting it into my business and going, okay, what else can I do to make this grow? What other information? A funny thing about business, there was a point in time when I was in the beginning of starting my journey, and there was a lull, and I was like, but I hadn't gone to any masterminds. I haven't really followed up on any new videos. I hadn't really done any of that stuff. The only thing that was holding me back was my knowledge. I was missing some sort of knowledge in order for me to progress. And so in this journey, what I found out is that if there's a lull or something, it's just because you're not growing, you're not researching, you're not expanding your knowledge base.
One of the things I really learned too is, and I know a good mentor, a good coach can tell you this too, and I really do believe in, I have mentors now, I still have mentors, I still have coaches, I pay for education, and I believe it's important. But the one thing I also love about mentors and coaches and masterminds, you start seeing the level of activity other people are doing, or that you're not doing.
That you're not doing.
And you're like, oh
right.
man. So that's why I'm not at that number yet. Or maybe that's why I'm not doing that number of deals. I'm not putting enough input to get the output.
Right.
And it's not a comparison thing. It's not like, oh, like, I wish I was so-and-so. It's more like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I see the recipe for success. I see the formula they're using.
Right. Their footprints are, you're seeing their footprints ahead of you. Like you're following in their footprints, right? And they're giving, the crazy thing about all of this is that they're giving you this information. Right now, this information is free to everybody. Like, it's just a matter of, all right, picking up the phone, sending a DM, or just liking, subscribing, sharing, following, all of that stuff. That's action, and that action will actually lead to those results. Right. Like, and it's amazing. But the networking events, talking to the mentors, those it opens up your mindset, and it gives you an insight to something that may have been holding you back, or that you weren't looking at it the right way.
So it's interesting. I think this is a theme that I try to live by. I know you live by too. And this is with the mastermind that I have, the Go Giver Mastermind. It's the REI Mastermind, but we all nickname it the Go Giver, right? Because everyone gets a copy of the Go Giver book. If you haven't read that book, please read the Go Giver. It's amazing.
Please read it. It's great.
One of my mentors was Sean Terry. My first wholesale deal I ever did was with Sean Terry. I remember going to like a Panera Bread and sitting down with like 5, 6 other guys. He's telling us how to find deals. He's telling us how to drive for dollars, how to write yellow letters, and do all this stuff with basically no money. Working 60 hours a week at Wells Fargo, no extra money for marketing. I found my first deal on Craigslist, free resource. And what's amazing is just like 2 weeks ago, I was in the mastermind with Sean Terry and Alex Youngblood. If you don't know Alex Youngblood, check out Wholesaling Houses Full-Time Facebook group. It's the largest Facebook group on wholesaling out there. And he started that to give free information to help people get out of their jobs. That was his whole idea, his abundance mindset.
Awesome.
Sean Terry started a podcast, the Flip to Freedom podcast. That's how I found Sean Terry. That was free. That was the go-giver mentality. Both of them have that go-giver mentality. Here in our market, and members of the Go-Giver Mastermind or the REI Mastermind, we have people like Pace Morby that's just sharing on YouTube all the time. His partner Cody Barton, right?
Right.
Brent Daniels, all these guys, Jamil Damsey, they're just sharing information. Cody Sperber, sharing information. Steve Trang with the podcast, sharing information. We're here in the Pulse Studios with Rafael Cortez.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
used to work with Rafael. Yeah, we call him the $1 million man. He was like one of the most amazing acquisition specialists in the world. Is sharing his. There are people in your markets. There are people in your local cities that are willing to help you, that are willing to share with you. And if not, there's people. The internet is making everything so much closer.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
We can connect virtually. We can connect with each other. So if you need to get a hold of us, like and subscribe. If this content's helping you out, let us know that. Reach out to you on Instagram. Right? My website is brandontheman.com. Real original, right? Also, you can text me or call me. I actually answer my own phone, so you can text me. It's 480-818-6460. And also, just to let you know, if you text the word contract, let's do this. If you text the word contract to 480-818-6460, we'll send you a copy of the purchase contract used for Novations. Is that okay?
That works. Absolutely.
I put them on the spot.
No. By all means, I'll send them the contract. Yeah.
And let us know how we can help you. Leave comments. Send us a message. Send us a text message. Send us a DM. Let us know what you're struggling with. Right? We want to make this content to help you. We're not charging for this. We're just putting out content to help everyone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all for free, and we want more people to join in, right? So we're going to be live streaming. We'll be doing all of this.
We'll be doing live stream. We'll be taking calls. We'll be interviewing other people. We're really lucky. We're in Phoenix, Arizona. It's like the mecca of wholesaling, and I think it started because of people like Sean Terry. People that have just given information for free, that has put so much content out there, not charging anything for it.
Right.
But I mean, I've paid for mentorships, I paid for coaching, I paid for courses, and it's worth every dollar. Right?
I paid for you to train my employees, so yeah.
And they're getting deals.
They're getting deals, yeah, absolutely, and the best investment ever. So
people, if you invest in yourself, the one thing, Alex Hormozy, do you know who he is?
I know, that's a new name.
You got to check him out. So Alex Hormozy says if he was investing in anything, he's making money. If you're a young entrepreneur, solopreneur, invest in yourself, invest in your own education.
It's the best ROI.
The best return on investment right there, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Every time you invest on yourself, there's always a return.
Yeah.
Always a return. So, but there's a lot of free content out there, right?
Yeah.
And good content.
Right, absolutely. So even like free audiobooks, right? So
Yeah.
when I first started in this business, I went into every single free audiobook that I could possibly listen to during my breaks and everything else. And I just filled myself with information.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. So Sean Terry, when he had the Flip to Freedom podcast, and this is back in 2010. 2010. I was like the 37th person that joined the Flip to Freedom Academy when he did the academy. But he had a free ebook. This is like the thing, right? A free ebook. And I swear I gobbled that thing and read that thing so many times. And I was listening to a couple of people that were in the mastermind, and they said the same thing. They got the free ebook and they read it like 5-6 times. So sometimes you don't know as a creator, as you're putting stuff out there, if it's helping people.
Right.
So let us know too. Let us know what stuff you guys need. Before we sign off, what's any messages, anything you want to leave the audience that's watching?
No, just don't get discouraged. That's exactly like everyone goes through some bad times, and right now we might be experiencing them, right? And so don't get discouraged, right? Your mind is an excellent resource to help you get through all of these things, but you have to continue to enrich it, right?
Yeah.
Just like you know, Gary Vee says, dirt and clouds, right? Well, you have to continually put love into the soil in order for it to flourish and grow. And
I think that's the part. It's like you get knocked down, you get up, right? I was
you're listening to Chumbawamba.
No,
Knocked down, I get up again.
You get up again. If Eric Thomas, he's also known as a hip hop preacher, he was sharing a story about Buster Douglas. Buster Douglas, I don't know if you've heard this story. He tells it way better than I'm going to say it right now. But check out Eric Thomas talking about Buster Douglas fighting Mike Tyson. So Buster Douglas, his mom was telling everyone that his son was going to knock out Mike Tyson. You understand? Mike Tyson at the time was undefeated.
His prime.
At his prime, the number one heavyweight. There's no one that even came close to knocking him out, right? Mm-hmm. And so Buster Douglas got knocked down, and he got saved by the bell. Like, he was knocked out basically. They were counting 1, 2. You know, he basically made it through that round, and he could have quit. But here's the story: his mom died just a few days before the boxing match. His mom died just a few days, and he remembered that his mom kept telling everyone that he was going to knock out Mike Tyson, so he got back up. He got back up, and then what happened was he ended up knocking out Mike Tyson. And won the heavyweight fight. Yeah. So, and he was basically a nobody, you know? So, when you get knocked down, I just say don't give up. Just a lot of times winning in entrepreneurship, in sports, in business, in real estate, is just not giving up and finding a way, finding the coach, finding a mentor, finding someone that's just a few steps ahead of you sometimes.
And reaching out, do that action, right?
Yeah, that's important. Don't be afraid.
Right, don't be afraid. Like, there's other people. I've gone through a lot of turmoil, a lot of stress, and a lot of iffy things that have happened in my life, and you know, but we're here, right? And we made it. We made it. So, what would you like to say to
I want to echo that. I think just don't give up. One of our good friends, Max Jimenez.
I love Max. Max is awesome.
If you don't know Max was business partners with Steve Trang for a long time. But I remember seeing Max Jimenez at Sean Terry's meetups for a long time. He came for months and months and never got a deal. Now he's teaching people how to close deals and sales, and he's one of the best closers out there.
Right? Oh yeah. El cerrador.
The cerrador, the closer, right?
He's the closer, yeah.
But what's interesting, he went months and months and months and months and months without a deal, and just didn't give up. Mm-hmm. He just stuck to, and he had a full-time job. He was doing construction and stuff, but it's not giving up. That persistence, that ability to not stop, I think. I don't know why that is in this business. I feel like that that's when you have your breakthrough moments. If you tell yourself, I'm not giving up, I don't care what happens, like I'm gonna see this through, burn the boats, you know, and just go towards your goal.
It's so funny that story is very similar to mine. When I first started, boom, year and a half, no deal, right? And then all of a sudden my first deal, right? And Craigslist. And Craigslist, so yeah.
Don't give up. That's our message. The market's changing. Don't be scared. Understand that there's ways to still do deals in this market. There's still ways to find deals and to make profits, make good profits in this, and to help people.
Yeah. Right now, the wealthy. Do you think that they're worried about it? Yeah, they're concerned, but they're looking to optimize.
Right.
They're looking to how can I take advantage of these situations right now?
Yeah. There's going to be opportunities.
Right.
We just ran through a wonderful cycle of prosperity, of opportunities, and basically the market was going up no matter what, right? So now it's just you're going to have to adjust a little bit, and you're going to have to utilize some other strategies. And guess what? By utilizing those strategies and learning those things, you're going to do even more probably.
Yeah.
For the most of you that actually implement and don't give up, you know, that.
Thank you. All right,
and,
Brandon, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, George.
So we'll do it again in a few days, a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll try to do this on a weekly basis. Also, leave any comments. Let us know anything that you want us to cover. If there's any questions you have, any burning questions, any people you want us to interview to. We're lucky to be in Phoenix with a lot of the gurus,
Right.
and a lot of them are good friends of ours.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So yeah.
thanks
All
for
right.
watching this. Appreciate it, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Have a good one. Good job, man. That's awesome.